Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, rather. Thank you for being here today. I'm happy to be joined here by Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, along with Rhode Island State Police Colonel Weaver, Commissioner Infante-Green, and stakeholders in the education and public safety. We have a strong united front in the room today. Kathy Crowley from the Rhode Island School Superintendent Associations, Tim Duffy from the Rhode Island Association of School Committees, Bob Littlefield from the Rhode Island Association of School Principals, Bob Waltz from the NEA, Mary Beth Calabro from the AFT, Keith Oliveira from the League of Charters, as well as local superintendents and local law enforcement from around the state. And I was in conversation with higher ed as well today, and we'll regroup with them shortly, probably before the end of the week. So I want to thank you all for being here. We're here to talk about safety in our schools, especially with the tragedy in Texas. Clearly making it an issue that we're all concerned about in terms of making sure that we reduce our risk and we create prevention where it's there. We already know that there's monthly meetings that go on, but this is just an additional effort to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can in the schools to avoid an occurrence that we would regret after the fact if we didn't really pay close attention to it. So it has been exactly a week since the deadly shooting in Texas, where 19 children and 2 adults were murdered. We as a nation are still mourning and still trying to process how this has happened again in the United States. In the last 7 days, there have been over a dozen new mass shootings across the country. On Wednesday, May 25th, 4 people were shot in West Philadelphia while on their way to a prom party. On Friday, May 27th, 3 siblings and their mother were shot and killed in Michigan. On that same day, a shooting at the graduation party in Alabama left 6 people injured. And sadly, I could go on, and that's just in the last 7 days. Our country continues to have serious problem with guns and with gun violence. And it's up to us as elected officials and public officials, both in Washington, D.C. and Rhode Island, to do all we can to end it. As I said last week, it is time for the General Assembly to pass bills to limit high-capacity magazines and ban assault weapons. Send those bills to my desk for signature. I'm ready to sign them. At the same time, we know that no one thing alone is going to end gun violence. So an argument that just said, well, that's not going to solve the problem, of course it's not going to solve the problem. But it reduces the risk. It puts us in line with our bordering states, both Connecticut and Massachusetts. That's why we must continue to ensure that our schools are safeguarded against anyone who would bring a harm to our students, educators, and school staff. To that end, we are here to announce further collaboration between the state superintendents, the local law enforcement, to immediately identify potential school safety issues and address any necessary repairs and upgrades. So here's our plan. All districts will be conducting walkthroughs of their school buildings by June 10th. They will share their findings with RIDE and our School Safety Committee, led by the Rhode Island State Police. Schools where potential hazards are found are encouraged to work with their local law enforcement and their school safety teams to identify solutions and cost estimates. That's what I did as a mayor. Our local police, our resources that we need to use, and connect them in with our schools, as they already are. RIDE will then authorize up to $500,000 in emergency approval through the School Building Authority for each district to make additional security upgrades to their facilities as needed and reimburse, and they will be reimbursed for that work after it's complete. I want to thank the Commissioner, the Colonel, and their teams for working quickly through this critical program. Collaboration here is the key, and I want to thank everyone for stepping up and being here, such an important issue in a short period of time. We want to assure Rhode Island families, our students, our teachers, and school staff that we are serious about safety in our schools. And we will continue to be prepared to maintain that safety. And with that, I'll turn it over to our Lieutenant Governor for comments. Lieutenant Governor?
Thank you, Governor. Good afternoon. As many of you know, I'm a mother of two school-aged children. And like any other parent, I has been very angry with the news coming from Texas and other part of the country. I feel concerned and I feel worried that my son and my daughter may not be safe when they go to school. A school is a place in where they're supposed to be a sanctuary. They're supposed to go and learn. And they shouldn't be afraid of what is going to happen once they go there. There should be a place in which they're creating good memories with their friends. As parents, the last thing we should be worried about is the safety of our children when they are in school. Unfortunately, we live during a time when that feeling is way too real. A mass shooting, unfortunately, seems to happen every few weeks in our nation. It is our job as elected leaders local here at the state level and a federal level also, to do everything we can to prevent a tragedy like Uvalde, Texas, from ever happening in our communities. And that's why I want to thank Governor McKee. I want to thank the Commissioner Angélica Infante-Green and Colonel Weaver for being here today, being proactive in addressing those challenges so we can prevent a tragedy like Uvalde, Texas from ever happening in our community. We have to do everything we can to minimize the risk of something like that ever taking place in here. I would like to thank Governor McKee again, Commissioner Infante-Green and Colonel Weaver, because you're offering this program to our local school district. And I also want to thank our local school district leaders, the superintendent, the school board, the educators, who are the front line of defense. Unfortunately, we're asking them to do more than what they signed up for. What they wanted to do was to educate our children, and right now we are in a situation where we're asking them to do more. So with that, I'm gonna turn it over to the Commissioner Angélica Infante-Green.
Thank you, Governor McKee, Lieutenant Governor Matos, Colonel Weaver, and all of the school professional associations joining us today. We're still grappling with the devastating events of last week and everything that's happened since, mourning the loss of what's happened in Texas. I think all of us in education were stunned, hurt, saddened, for the children, for the staff that show up every single day. It's a moment that we felt very deeply. Rhode Island has consistent and ongoing efforts to keep schools safe, but we need to continue to take action. Families deserve a peace of mind. Educators deserve a peace of mind. Governor, Colonel Weaver and I met the morning after the attack. We all knew that we needed to go further and utilize the State School Safety Committee, which actually met on that day. The committee includes representatives from the state and local police, superintendents, RIDE, BHDDH, and more. Each school has a school safety team that includes local police and fire working with school administrators. They use comprehensive hazard assessment to review schools. This is online. Very comprehensive. There are about 100 different metrics that are reviewed. Checklists address detailed aspects of security in place like windows and doors, parking lots, driveways, visitor protocols, communications, technology, every aspect inside and outside the facilities. Thank you for all of those that worked on this. Those reports are due every 3 years, but we're taking action and asking our districts to review the safety of all their schools as soon as possible. We're deeply thankful to our superintendents and the professional association who leapt into action. Districts have until Friday, June 10th, to complete their checklists. We will help in any way that we can, including offering emergency approvals of facility improvements. If necessary, Ride in Turn can authorize $500,000 in emergency approval through the School Building Authority to each LEA to make whatever additional security upgrades their facilities need and can be reimbursed after completing the work. That means doors, windows. These approvals are emergency repairs, and this past week has shown us that a broken window or doors can become an emergency hazard. This is all part of the Safety Committee's ongoing work, including school threat assessment teams. The threat assessment teams are a more recent addition focused on addressing potential hazards before they arise. They gather information, track rumors, talk to students who may be in crisis. They include counselors who are a vital part of securing our schools. Last week, we met with over 100+ school counselors from across the state, all whom are dedicated to preserving student mental health, behavior, and social-emotional health. We are grateful for all of them and all the educational professionals and communities that we're working to keep the schools safe. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the General Assembly for all the layered safety approach. Rhode Island takes school safety very seriously. And unfortunately, we're having this conversation because yet again, our schools are a place where we have to continue to build and continue to work together to ensure that every day, everyone that goes to our schools feels safe and secure. Thank you.
Colonel?
Thank you, Governor McKee, Lieutenant Governor Matos, and Commissioner Infante-Green for including me today. As a member of law enforcement, I can tell you that nothing in our work is more important than the safety of our children. The Rhode Island State Police convenes the Rhode Island School Safety Committee, which meets monthly and brings together stakeholders across state and local government to ensure the safety of students and staff in all Rhode Island schools. We work collaboratively with our law enforcement partners in the cities and towns and encourage school officials to conduct active shooter training and preparedness. We advise schools to train evacuation procedures and have shelter-in-place plans. As we move to the next phase of this work, we look forward to the opportunity to provide our expertise and be helpful on these assessments. We're prepared to lend our time and experience so that every Rhode Island parent can know that their child is going to a school in a safe place. We all have a role in keeping our schools safe. We cannot say it enough to kids, teachers, and parents. If you see something, say something. We take every threat seriously, and we will be there when you call. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions related to this announcement. Pat?
Governor, supporters of the Second Amendment will point out that the legislation that's being proffered by the state legislature at this moment really does nothing but make law-abiding citizens less safe. They also point out that at the same time that there continues to be, despite some of the strictest gun laws in the nation, there continues to be a lot of plea bargaining. And finally, while pointing out to the signature failures of law enforcement, Marjorie Stoneman, as well as allegedly in Texas, that the real nature of the Second Amendment and the laws protecting gun ownership have much more to do with, if you will, protecting against tyrannical governments. How do you respond to them when there is no crime coming from law-abiding citizens?
Well, I think the last couple gun shootings actually was a gun that was bought legally. So I think it's important that we do everything we can to prevent that. I don't think there's anything that is in the legislations right now that I'm supporting, whether it's the high capacities or the assault weapon or the age that you can purchase, that doesn't help. And as I said in my comments, I think it's a hollow argument to just say this is not going to solve the problem. Of course, there's not one thing that's going to solve the problem, but each time you layer something in that reduces the risk, that's our responsibility, and it doesn't take away a right that you're explaining, and it does help improve the situation, and it's not just something that's going to have no impact at all. We know it will have an impact.
Governor,
Do you support or oppose putting armed police at schools?
So I do support SROs in schools. I think I'm pretty public about that, and I think that we've seen why it's important that we have that there, and I also support the training that the colonels talked about, and I've been involved with that training as a mayor on weekends where we're taking schools and doing active shooting type drills. I think that, again, I'm open to it. I would have to kind of weigh whether it, where the argument. I think there's an argument on both sides right now, but I kind of lean towards the fact that we should have the public safety in the building to make sure that they can respond if there's a problem.
Governor, do you think that's feasible, costs-wise, or what you're hearing from municipalities to have police officers at every school? I know most schools have an officer at some point, maybe during the day at dismissal or in the morning, but is that cost-wise something that is possible?
Yes.
How many school districts are potentially eligible for this? What is the potential outlay for this? $500,000 for each district? How many districts are there that are potentially eligible?
Yeah, all the districts are eligible.
So how much are we talking about here? Money?
$2.5 million? No, but what's $25 million? $25 million. So
25 million.
500,000 to 50 districts type of a thing, on average, right?
Commissioner, a lot of the students that are in our schools now are no stranger to school shootings. They were born after Columbine. They saw Sandy Hook occur. Why haven't we done these walkthroughs before?
Oh, we have.
Can you detail that a little bit further?
Sure. So the superintendents, the principals, they do these walks. This is something that happens, and they have to submit a report. They submit the report every 3 years, but they do these walks. So this is not new. Rhode Island has taken school safety very seriously from the very beginning. There's a layered approach. Many of the people that are here in this room right now have actually been working on this for years. We have the hazard report. We have the emergency planning report, and all that information is online. So all these things are available, and this is not new to Rhode Island in our school system.
We have time for one or two more. What makes this different then, this time?
Just reminding and actually having everybody do it all at once, because I think it's important that we actually go give it another once over, making sure that everything is in place, and if there's a need for additional resources for broken doors, windows, anything that they may come across, this money will be used for that, and it will be expedited.
Alex has a question in the back.
Commissioner, you mentioned that hazard report and that the school safety committee had met on the day of the shooting last week. Is there anything of note specifically that raised red flags for the committee or any schools that had any major repairs or safety issues?
At this point, everybody's just doing another walkthrough. Rhode Island has been very vigilant. I have to say the superintendents and the principals have been very vigilant about doing this work, and everybody that's in part of the committees. And what everybody's gonna do is a once-over, making sure that if there's anything in addition to what already is there, needs to happen, does happen.
We
Can you?
Two more questions, Linda and Brian.
The first layer of reviews was supposed to happen 3 years after the law was passed, so that would be 2021. Why didn't they happen then?
No, they happen every 3 years. They continuously happen, and every year, the principal, the superintendent certify that this has taken place in the district. So there's an official report every 3 years, and then there's a certification that takes place annually.
They happened in 2021.
Yes, they did happen. They have happened. What they're doing now is making sure that there is nothing that was left, any rock left unturned. That's what's happening right now. So it's not that anyone didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's the reminder, after this happened, it's a reminder that we should once again continue. This is an ongoing process. It's not a one and done ever.
Brian,
And just,
last question.
just to, is there, for parents out there, is there a statewide protocol for what should be happening or not happening at every school? Just one point of entry, you have to be buzzed in. Can you just tell people that there is this set of rules, there's only one way in, one way out, and go through some of those things that every school should have or should be doing?
So all schools have safety plans. So they should go to their school safety plan. However, there's information that they're not going to find there because we don't want everyone to know, which obviously we're aware of. But if you look at this protocol, these are the things that the safety committee has recommended should be in place. So it is up online. What you're not going to find is the particulars of every individual school.
And it's up to them whether or not to determine that. The state doesn't come in and say, no, you're doing this wrong.
Well, there are these walkthroughs that happen with the police, with the fire department, that they look at every piece of them to see where they are, and most of our schools meet all of them. However, there are things that may change throughout the year, and that's what this opportunity is meant to do, is to give everybody that chance that before the school year's over, that they revisit that, and then over the summer, they will be planning again, an ongoing process so that we're continuously monitoring the safety of our schools.
Thank you.